In the small town of Pinehurst, Minnesota, the air was filled with the crispness of early fall. It was 1992, and the town was quiet, nestled among towering pine trees and surrounded by an ever-present whisper of legends passed down through generations. One such legend involved a phone number, 999-9999. It was said that if you dialed this number after midnight, you would be connected to something far beyond the realm of the living. Bethany, Brandon, and Charlie were three high school seniors, best friends who spent their weekends seeking out thrills and adventures. They had heard the legend many times, but none of them truly believed it. However, curiosity got the better of them one chilly October night as they gathered at Bethany's house, daring each other to make the call. "Come on, it's just a stupid number," Brandon said, his voice brimming with false bravado. "Nothing's going to happen." Bethany nodded in agreement, though she couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that settled in her stomach. "Yeah, it's probably just a prank or something." Charlie, always the skeptic, shrugged. "Let's just do it and get it over with. Then we can watch a movie or something." As the clock struck midnight, Bethany picked up the phone and dialed 999-9999. The three friends leaned in, holding their breath as the phone rang once, twice, 3 times. On the 4th ring, the line clicked, and a voice answered. It was neither male nor female, neither young nor old. It was an eerie, hollow sound that sent chills down their spines. "Hello?" Bethany's hand shook as she held the receiver. Hi. We heard there was something strange about this number." There was a long pause on the other end of the line, followed by a low, sinister chuckle. "You have called at the right time," the voice said. "Now, you must listen carefully." The friends exchanged uneasy glances. The voice continued. "You will each receive a visit tonight. What you will see and hear is not for the faint of heart. Prepare yourselves." Before they could respond, the line went dead. The friends stared at the phone, their faces pale. "That was creepy," Charlie said, trying to laugh it off. "Probably just some elaborate prank." Bethany nodded, but her eyes were wide with fear. "Let's just try to forget about it and go to bed." Reluctantly, they decided to call it a night. Bethany and Brandon stayed at Bethany's house, while Charlie headed home. As he walked back through the quiet streets, the events of the night played over and over in his mind. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching him. When Charlie reached his house, he found the front door ajar. His heart pounded as he stepped inside, calling out for his parents. There was no answer. He made his way through the darkened rooms, his breath quickening with each step. As he entered the living room, he froze. There, in the middle of the room, stood a figure cloaked in shadow. It had no discernible features, just a dark, looming presence. Charlie backed away slowly, but the figure moved towards him, its form shifting and twisting unnaturally. He turned and ran, but the house seemed to stretch on endlessly, the exits disappearing before his eyes. Panic set in as the figure closed in on him, its hollow voice echoing in his mind. "Do you see now? Do you understand?" Meanwhile, at Bethany's house, Brandon lay in the guest room, unable to sleep. He felt a cold breeze brush against his skin and sat up, his eyes scanning the dark room. The air grew colder, and he heard a faint whispering. The shadows in the corners of the room seemed to move, coalescing into a dark figure. Brandon's heart raced as the figure approached his bed, its eyes glowing with a sinister light. "Who are you?" he whispered, his voice trembling. The figure leaned in close, its breath icy against his skin. "I am your nightmare, your deepest fear. You called, and now I am here." Brandon tried to scream, but no sound escaped his lips. The figure reached out, its cold hand closing around his wrist. He felt a sharp pain and looked down to see his skin turning black, the darkness spreading through his veins. He struggled to break free, but the figure's grip tightened, pulling him into the abyss. In her own room, Bethany was having her own encounter. She awoke to the sound of footsteps echoing through the house. She got out of bed and grabbed a flashlight, determined to confront whatever intruder had entered her home. As she stepped into the hallway, she saw a shadowy figure at the end, standing still and silent. "Who's there?" Bethany demanded, her voice shaking. The figure didn't respond. Instead, it began to move towards her, its form shifting and undulating like smoke. Bethany raised the flashlight, ready to defend herself, but as the figure drew closer, she felt an overwhelming sense of dread. The air around her grew thick and suffocating, and she dropped the flashlight, her hands trembling. The figure stopped inches from her, its eyes glowing with a malevolent light. "You have called, and I have answered," it said in a voice that seemed to echo from the depths of the void. "Now, you must face the consequences." Bethany felt a cold hand close around her throat, squeezing the breath from her lungs. She struggled, but the figure's grip was unyielding. As darkness closed in around her, she heard the sinister voice one last time. "Do you regret your curiosity now?" The next morning, the town was abuzz with news of the three friends' disappearance. Their homes showed signs of a struggle, but there was no trace of them. The phone in Bethany's living room lay off the hook, the eerie silence a stark contrast to the horrors of the previous night. Days turned into weeks, and the search for Bethany, Brandon, and Charlie continued. The police were baffled, unable to find any leads. The townspeople whispered about the old legend, wondering if there was some truth to the stories after all. As the weeks turned into months, the friends' families were left with nothing but questions and heartache. The legend of the phone number had claimed 3 more victims, leaving behind a trail of sorrow and unanswered questions. The urban legend of 999-9999 continued to spread, taking on new life with each retelling. The stories grew darker, more twisted, as people added their own embellishments. But those who knew the truth, who had heard the whispered warnings and felt the cold touch of the unknown, knew better than to dismiss the legend as mere fiction. In the quiet town of Pinehurst, Minnesota, the legend remained, a silent sentinel to the horrors of the past. The ghostly whispers of those who had called the number still echoed through the night, a chilling reminder of the lives lost and the spirits that lingered. The phone rang endlessly, and shadows danced in the corners of the town, waiting for the next curious soul to venture too close. And so, the legend lived on, a testament to the power of fear and the mysteries that lie just beyond the veil of our understanding. Those who dared to challenge the unknown, who sought to uncover the truth, would forever be haunted by the darkness that lurked in the shadows of Pinehurst. No happy ending would ever be found, only the lingering echoes of the past and the chilling reminder that some legends are better left undisturbed.